how the updating of the voters list is complete. Some part is missing, my lord, but it is yet to be over. It's in the process. It would be over, my lord, in a month or so, my lord. That's what I'm told. Thereafter, my lord, they will take a call considering the overall situation.
You'll be wondering what the Chief Justice is doing is on a phone from the court.
Yes. This is my explanation. Learning assistant.
Because I just want to know whether your lordships are taking into account these facts, because whether that's extremely relevant from our point of view. Because if your lordships had said earlier that subsequent facts will not be taken into account, we are dealing with the law, we are dealing with these facts.
Mr. Sibil, these facts on what they have said would have possibly no bearing on the constitutional issue which has been argued.
But even otherwise,
But-
because we have to counter those facts, Mullah.
We had asked them a question on the roadmap for holding an election.
That's fine, Mullah.
That's what they have responded.
But Mullah,
That's what, Malad, in my
But that
argument
has-
on merit.
But our decision on the constitutional issue has to be on constitutional.
but Mullah, these facts will go into the mind of the court because they are trying to show as to how this enormous change has taken place for the benefit of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. If you have 5,000 people under house arrest and 144 throughout the state, there can be no bun. So, Mullah, my request to your lordships is, please don't enter into this arena because we will have to counter it with all kinds of facts, Mullah, which I don't think is necessary for this court.
The nature of the development work which the government says has taken place post August 2019, this may not be of relevance to your constitutional challenge. And therefore, when they respond to the constitutional challenge, that has to be dealt with independent.
I didn't rely upon it while
But
answering on
these
merit.
facts, if they come into your lordships, Mullah, part of the record, then that has.
I think, Mr. Sibal, what the solicitor, to be fair to the solicitor, what the solicitor was saying is that the roadmap to full statehood would take a little time.
That's obvious.
Right now, that they are the development. There, his submission is that right now development work is taking place. Some stability has to be brought about. This is not a permanent arrangement, namely the UT status. They envisage that it will be a movement from UT to statehood again. We can't give you a fixed point of time when we will restore statehood, but they have told us the process which they are following on the path to.
I have no objection to
That-
that statement. I have no objection.
And that's how we read it.
Yes,
actually.
well, if any other fact that you bring to your lordship's notice has no bearing, because I'll have to counter
Mr.
it.
Solicitor, Mr. Attorney, we take it that what you said, Solicitor, a short while back, is along the lines what we said.
Yes,
That this is-
answer the election and
The roadmap to
statehood
full-
query, not as a
Correct. I have
justification
no
for.
problems to that,
And Mr.
Mullah.
Sibal also fairly says that he has no difficulty about that.
But
During my
he says
arguments
that
on merits,
this
I
has
never
happened.
relied upon.
This cannot be an answer to the constitutional challenge.
But even otherwise, it should
I
not
also,
slip
Mullah,
into your
didn't,
lordship's
I
mind,
absolutely-
Mullah, that these are great things that are happening, Mullah, because today, the kind of drugs that are happening with the youth in Jammu Kashmir is unbelievable. But I don't want to enter into that controversy.
Can I put it like this?
The
Neither,
unemployment rate is enormous.
Mr. Sibal, these are matters on which there can be and should be in a democracy policy differences,
That's right.
but that can't affect the constitutional answer
Absolutely.
to a constitutional
Therefore, Mullah,
challenge.
once you start placing these facts and Mullah, your lordship.
But therefore, we place those facts which he mentioned in the perspective of the roadmap to statehood, that's all, and nothing on.
This is
on
not
the-
a justification.
This is not a justification, as it cannot be, from our perspective also, to the answer to the constitutional challenge. We'll have to address the constitutional
So your
challenge. on
lordship will allow
constitutional
me to
grounds.
face some counterfacts to that?
may
No,
I
it's
put
not
it like this?
necessary,
But
Mr.
I had intervened that stage also when you
Yeah.
were saying, only for this reason that we wanted in a conspectus to understand when they look to a restoration of statehood.
No
To
problem.
which they made a statement that
That's no issue, Mullah. They say that will take some time. Your lordships will decide on that issue, Mullah.
decide
That's
what it is.
confined to our answer, our question to Mr.
But
Solicitor.
buns
We are
have
very
been
clear
reduced
on
to
this.
zero, buns have
Neither-
been reduced to
but
zero, all
if you
that,
don't
Mullah,
mind.
with respect, I say, your lordship should not even, those facts are not relevant for the purposes of your lordship's decision is all that I
And
say.
therefore, we had not taken that additional
Right.
affidavit which was sought to be filed at the inception of the record, and I don't think there has been any change in that
Keep you.
provision.
I think it's better understood like this. Neither these statements nor their refutation, if need be, will enter into the question of determining the constitutional validity.
Correct.
So therefore, paraphrase it like that.
Yeah.
We don't want to put it like
And
that.
on that
Kindly
aspect,
see.
I also
on
didn't
that,
rely-
on that,
Kindly
Mr.
see.
Sibal, Mr.
It's for
Attorney
an
and
entirely
Mr.
different
Solicitor,
purpose.
I think there is a broad-based understanding on both sides that the constitutional challenge has to be answered on.
But
During my assistance on merits, I never relied upon
The
this.
problem is the following, these are televised, all this is being televised and all of this being recorded. So Mullah, these facts come on the record, they are part of the public space and people feel what a great thing has been done by the government. Mullah, this creates a problem. Mullah, that's why I.
What's why progress never creates problem.
I'm sorry.
Lack
please
of
allow me.
offenses
All right,
do
Mr.
not.
Sibal, we get
allow
your
me.
point. We got your point. I think we have clarified it,
Yes.
that the constitutional challenge will be dealt with by the Supreme Court on constitutional grounds.
That's right. None of this should Mullah enter into the.
And they have not argued equity in defense to your constitutional challenge.
That's all, Mullah, that's all.
Yes.
I suppose these statements are otherwise in the public domain. In elections,
There's a
will
lot
be-
in the public
Mr.
domain.
And therefore,
Mr. Attorney,
public
there's a
will
lot-
consume it.
Mr. Attorney General, you're meeting the constitutional challenge on constitutional argument.
Which I
We
did,
must
I never-
address this matter like any other constitutional
That's
matter as a
right, that's right. In
constitutional
the
issue
public
which we have to
domain, I can
confront.
raise a lot of facts.
But when I answer the question of election and the statehood, these figures will go into our
So
decision.
that you made, that's not part of the public
And
space.
that
You-
Mr.
because you
Sibal has
need-
also clarified, there can't be any
That's
objection.
internal.
We needn't labor this issue, we are all now clear on,
Yes, yes.
on conceptual grounds. Mr. Attorney, now we'll hear you.
Please, Your Lordship. And one is reminded of Dworkin's very deep engagement on the hard cases and not one single.
Only
Yes,
one
yes, yes.
interruption, Murad, on the lighter side. My learned friend said that there are some people who are under house arrest and therefore there is no bond. But that means the right people are in the house arrest.
5,000 people. Let's not make
Isn't it that?
let's make a mockery of democracy.
People are under house arrest.
5,000 people were under house arrest at that time. 144 was throughout the state. This court, Manadina judgment has recognized that. Well, the internet was shut down and then they are saying there were no bunds. Why? How can there be bunds when people can't even go to hospital? People could not go to hospital because of the bun.
I
They
wish-
died.
I wish,
Not a single.
Let's not go into all this.
Mr.
I
Sibal.
wish we don't enter into
one
this
second.
dialogue.
Mr. Attorney,
I-
Mr. Sibal, we have, right from the inception of the hearing, we have heard this matter in a sense of dispassionateness,
Absolutely.
the sense of objectivity which must govern an answer to a constitutional challenge. We request both sides. Let's maintain it at that level.
Absolutely.
Because, yes. Yes,
I don't
Mr.
think
Attorney.
neither the solicitor nor me has entered into the domain to try to color the mind of the judges. We've not done that. I don't know about that.
All right. Yes, Mr. Attorney.
As I say that the famous principle versus rules and the hard cases thesis of Dworkin, one wonders we are not in a situation like this. We're leaving, taking off from what, where I left day before yesterday. There's a couple of digressions I would like to probably place before a lottery foray. Because when you talk about the intent of a law, Wittgenstein, who co-authored with Bertrand Russell, and his famous philosophical investigation, he talks about a signpost. How do we know what a signpost means? There must be a practice of using the signpost and an understanding which develops over the using of the signpost. Without that practice and understanding, the signpost means nothing. So this principle has been used in various circumstances to bring closer. If there is an understanding about a law on the basis of a practice, then interpretation follows one course, one trajectory. But if there is a lack of understanding or conflict of understanding, interpretation heads in another trajectory. Therefore, when you are trying to understand the intent and connect with the content of Article 370, you have to keep in mind what went into the original author's making of 370 and what has happened over a period of time by the practice of using Article 370. So, a text sometimes, by reason of its aging and the use of the text,